It's our reality, just your average family. Trying to be normal and stay out of trouble. Living a double life.
What's up? Today we got Thurman's Season 3, Episode 12, Date Exceptions. So this episode starts off at Hemville High, where Mrs. Austin says she hopes all of them are all ready. If you don't remember Mrs. Austin, she was the teacher in that Girl with the Dragon Snafu episode. She's not very well memorable, and we don't even see her again after this episode, so showing that she's not one of the most memorable teachers. So she was just in the Girl with the Dragon Snafu episode. Mrs. Austin says she hopes all of them are ready for the Model UN tonight. They'll get a window into the world of politics. Then Phoebe sneaks into class. Then the teacher keeps talking about as Phoebe tries to get into her seat. Then Alison shows up says there will be no peace from gluten thanks to the world pollution. Their ice is melting and their polar bears have nowhere to go. Cherry distracts Mrs. Austin so Phoebe can get into her chair by doing the la 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 la. And Phoebe gets into her chair, but as soon as she gets into her chair to enjoy class, the class is over. Phoebe says that was not worth it. And Phoebe tells Mrs. Austin that sorry she missed class. And Mrs. Austin says she has no idea what's going on with Phoebe, but lately, but Phoebe's about to flunk class. And that means Phoebe will have to make the class up in night school. There was a movie about that with Kevin Hart. Never saw it, but it was probably, I just know that there's a movie called Night School with Kevin Hart. Phoebe says she doesn't want to go to night school. Mrs. Austin says if Phoebe as Argentina brings peace to Mao Yuan, she passes. Phoebe says, didn't Mrs. Austin say last week that no one's ever done that? And Mrs. Austin says, it's impossible. Good luck. In the hallway, Cherry asks Phoebe why was Phoebe late to class this time. Phoebe says Max adopted 1,000 hamsters. And Cherry says, and then she says, to power a doomsday device. And she says, sister. Okay, we don't. Max adopted 1,000 hamsters to power a doomsday device. Phoebe says she's been so busy trying to save Hemville from Max that she could barely keep up in school. Although she did figure out a way to keep Max contained for a while. Then Max shows up in a hamster ball with a little bit of helium. It's never explained how he got out of this ball. Then Max says, Phoebe, I'll totally win the battle. You've won the battle, but I'll win the war. But the war isn't over. I have no idea to speak with a helium voice, so that's the best I got. After the opening, in the A-plot, at Hemville High, Phoebe says, Cherry, what is she supposed to do? If she doesn't pass, she'll have to go to night school. And night school is filled with creeps and weirdos. Cherry says, it's not that bad. She took a night school and had to improve her memory. Phoebe says, how was it? And Cherry says, how was what? Proving that either Cherry forgot how the improving her memory night school was, or she just didn't pay attention. We'll never know. Phoebe says, anyway, she doesn't know how she's supposed to get world peace with Alison in her class. She once fought King Crab, and Alison's scarier. Cherry says, between Max and Alison, Phoebe has her hands full. Helium Max says, wrecking ball now. I'm a wrecking ball now, Phoebe. And Phoebe says she hates that Max is having so much fun in there. Phoebe says, what if she sets Max and Alison up on a date tonight? They would be both out of her hair. Sherry says, oh yeah, her plan sounds horrible. Yeah. Phoebe says, Max and Alison don't even like each other. Phoebe says, what if she told them that they did? And Sherry says, that would be lying. And Phoebe says, she prefers the term creative coupling. Phoebe says, hey Alison, what's up? And Alison's like, hey Phoebe, and she's just writing some chants for Molly Wynn. No, peace, no, wait, we don't care what you say, we don't care what you say. Phoebe says, she knows who else loves yelling in Phoebe's face? Her brother Max. Alison says, she knows Max. She doesn't like him at all. Phoebe says, that's because Alison doesn't know the real Max. What else? Doesn't know the real Max. In fact, Max is researching forms of clean usage like hamster power. Alison says, she loves hamsters. And Phoebe says, so does Max. And shows a picture of Max in a hamster ball to Alison. And Alison's like, he looks so cute in there. Which, he does. And she knows for a fact that Max has a crush on Alison. So does she. So does Alison want to go out with Max? One night out. Alison says one night out wouldn't hurt. One night out wouldn't hurt. Maybe that's tonight. Alison says she can't do tonight because she can't do it because of Molly Wynn. Phoebe says to Alice Molly Wynn was moved. Mrs. Austin sent an email saying that Molly Wynn was moved to tomorrow. Alison says she did, and Phoebe says yeah. She tells Alison to be at Splatburger at 7:30, and Phoebe leaves. Meanwhile, in Max's lair, Phoebe comes down, but sees Max isn't there. That's when Max and Colosso slide down the slide. But how did Max get out of that hamster ball Phoebe stuck him in? It's never explained. Phoebe doesn't even question how he got out of it. It's just dropped. Yeah. The whole storyline with the hamster ball is completely forgotten about just for a funny opener joke. It's never explained how Max got out of the hamster ball. Phoebe doesn't question how he did it. She completely forgets about it. It's like the last scene. This scene was done before the last scene, because if they were filmed back to back, Phoebe would have actually talked about it. Phoebe says, Max says, what are you doing here? Get out, of course. And Phoebe says, she says she was going to tell Max that a hot girl has a crush on him. Max says, hot girl, crush, he's listening. I love Max. But Colosso says, it's a trap. And Max says, who? He says, shush, 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 who? And Phoebe says, Alison. And Max says, it was a trap. He doesn't want to date Alison. Alison's trying to save the world. He's trying to destroy it. Alison's trying to save the world when he's trying to destroy it. Phoebe says, Alison's super into him. Max says, well, they have in common. Max says, well, they have that in common. Phoebe says he's good with him. Max checks out his assistant. And Phoebe says, and Colosso says, they have the thing to destroy with the thing. Phoebe says, Alison says she'll pay. And Max says, cancel the thing that he and Colosso had to do. And Phoebe says, "Perfect. Spot burger at 7:30. Bye." Like she did to Alison and leave. Meanwhile, the B plot. Yeah, it took them a while to get to the B plot. OMG. But Barb says, "Alright, Billy and Nora, they're heading out. Max and Phoebe have plans, but more Phoebe has plans. Max is just going on to what Phoebe's plans are. So Blobbin should be there any minute." Nora says, "Why do they need a babysitter?" Then Chloe says, "Surprise attack," and hugs Nora. And attacks Nora with a hug. Again, Chloe's the best. But Hank says that's why. Because of Chloe's teleporting. And Colosso says, "Why can't he babysit?" Barb says, "Because Chloe can teleport to anywhere at any time, and Colosso can't hold cups." And then they show it then they literally show that he can't, that cups are on the floor. And then Billy says, Don't get mad at Colosso. Don't judge Colosso. It's harder than it looks." Then they show that Billy's cups are all over the floor. Why did they do that joke twice? I don't know. And Hank says they don't trust Colosso because he's evil supervillain. Colosso says Max is evil and he babysits all the time. Barb says Max isn't evil. He's going through a phase. Then Max says, "It's not a phase. He is evil." And goes down to his lair. Which was kind of funny. Hank says Blobbin's about to drop in. Then Blobbin drops on the porch, saying, "Thunder fan." Billy and Nora say go to hug Blobbin. Barb says, Why did Blobbin fall out of his plane without a parachute?" Blobbin says he didn't use a plane. His Blobco scientists catapulted him there. And says then goes to greet Chloe and says, "This must be Chloe. Can she give her cousin Blobbin a hug?" Chloe says to Nora, Is he the rich one?" Nora says, "Filthy." And then she says, "Cousin Blobbin." That was the most funniest joke. Just the fact that Nora had, before hugging him, Chloe had to find out if he's the rich uncle, the rich cousin, which was kind of funny. Blobbin picks up Chloe, and Barb says she and Hank have a hard time leaving their babies. Right, Hank? But then Hank's already in the car by the time she says that, honking the horn, so she's like, "Okay, I guess it's time to go," and tells the kids to behave. Blobbin's like, they're in safe hands. So when Barb leaves, Blobbin says, "Who wants to launch a rocket tonight?" And Billy, Nora, and Chloe say, "They do," and they go outside. Meanwhile, in the A plot, at Himmelville High at Model UN. Cherry shows up as a turkey. Phoebe says, "Let me guess. Cherry's country is Turkey." And Cherry says, "Turkey's a country?" Okay. And then she's like, "I guess, well, that changes things." So, Cherry, why were you gonna dress as a turkey anyway? Why? You were just gonna show up as a turkey out of the blue, even if you didn't know that Turkey's a real country? I know that's meant to be, haha, look at that Cherry being not smart. Look at that Cherry, she's not smart. But it's like, why? What was Cherry's original plan with going as a turkey? With turkey sandwiches? What was that old plan? I don't know. Phoebe says she brokered a deal between Scotland and Norway. And Gideon wanted that Viking shield, and Wolfgang wanted that bagpipe. Then we see Wolfgang playing bagpipes really well. And by the way, Phoebe bought a piece cake so everyone can have a piece of cake. Yeah, Cherry's not amused at all. And Phoebe says, "Yeah, no wonder the woman's bakery didn't laugh either." Sherry says it's a good thing Max and Alison agreed to go on that date, even though Phoebe had to lie. And Phoebe says she didn't want to go to school at night. And Oyster says, Phoebe, Russia has demands, and he will sign the peace treaty if Turkey gives him a turkey sandwich. Phoebe says, will Cherry? And Cherry says, gobble gobble, and gives him one of. Phoebe says she'll give Cherry one of Australia's stuffies. Cherry says gobble gobble and lets Russia have one of the turkey sandwiches. Meanwhile, in the B plot, Chloe says, cool rocket, can she ride it? Nora says, no way, Chloe, it's dangerous. And also, you didn't call dibs. Dibs! And Blobbin's like, bro, you guys are not riding this. He can't let any of them ride this. Nora says, just take a quick spin about the Milky Way. And Billy is dumb in this episode. He's like, Nora, that's for traveling to space. That's for traveling through space, not milk. And Nora obviously says, Milky Way is a name of a galaxy. And Billy says he thought it was Herman. These Billy jokes, they really got rid of them, but now they're back. Like, he thought that we had a galaxy named Herman. Billy, I know you're meant to be not the smartest kid in Thurman family, but bro, that is really dumb. That's the dumbest thing Billy's ever said. But yeah, again, Blobbin says Blobco built it to send him care packages to his station. Nora fires it. Nora says 3, 2, 1 and fires it up into the air. Billy says, wasn't that cool, Chloe? But then they notice that Chloe is gone. But then they see that Chloe isn't there. Blobbin sees a stuffed animal and now believes that Chloe isn't teleported herself into that rocket. Wouldn't they have seen her do it? Actually, Blobbin and Nora yell, Chloe! And then Billy says, she's with Herman now. Okay. Blobbin says he has to save her. Chloe must be scared out of her. Must be so scared. Cut to Chloe screaming, but it's actually at Colosso. But with Colosso says they were a terrible couple, and Chloe says Colosso deserves better. Colosso says soon they will see Colosso as more responsible babysitter than Blobbin ever will be. Then he tells Chloe not to touch the TNT. Okay, that kind of is showing that he is a more responsible babysitter. But yeah, this is basically Colosso's plot of the episode, that he hides Chloe. So the whole Colosso plot of the episode is that he's hiding Chloe from Billy, Nora, and Blobbin. So Barb and Hank will see that Blobbin isn't responsible and will make him in charge instead of him. So he's basically trolling the three of them and thinking that Chloe's launch is in space. And it's Chloe is in space. Yeah. I love using the Power Rangers theme song when I think of the word in space. And space. But anyway. I'm just saying. Is that this is the whole plan? Is that Colosso hopes that if he hides Chloe from Billy, Nora, and Blobbin, Barb and Hank will see that Blobbin is a not responsible babysitter and lost their daughter, so they'll fire him and hire Colosso. I'm guessing that's the plan. So meanwhile, in the A plot at Splatburger, speaking of Hank and Barb, Hank surprises Barb with Splatburger. Barb says, Hank, please don't tell her she got dressed up so they could eat a splat burger. Hank says, haha, yeah, no, they're not eating there. They're eating at somewhere special. Somewhere else nice. Then he tells a splat burger worker to cancel his tube. Also, yeah, why isn't Mrs. Wong there? I don't know. It's at Splat Burger, so shouldn't Mrs. Wong be serving there? She's not in the episode. She's not in the episode at all, which is terrible because I love Mrs. Wong. But yeah, it's just so weird that Mrs. Wong is not in this episode, even though Splat Burger is a constant thing throughout the episode. Yeah. Then they leave. Then the camera zooms in to see Alison and Max on their date. Yeah, it literally just zooms past two customers to see Max and Alison on their date. Alison says if you press these two buttons at the same time, it'll make fresh vegetables for all these stinking meat eaters. Max says Alison just made vegetables cool. Alison says Phoebe says Max invented a way to use hamsters as clean energy source, and Max says, no, he invented a way to enslave them to run a doomsday device. Phoebe says, Alison says, you can't enslave hamsters, you're a madman. And Max says, for someone who has a crush on him, she sure is fight picky. And Alison says, she doesn't have a crush on him. Phoebe said he had a crush on her. And Max says, ha, not a chance. And Alison says, you didn't have to be mean about it. You could have just said no. Why would Phoebe lie to them to get them on a date? Max says, good question. Let's see where Phoebe's at on Chirper. Oh, she's at Mall UN. And there's literally a picture of her and Cherry. Like, yeah, I know it's for the plot, but why would Phoebe post that? Like, literally. Anyone could have seen that. Alison could have seen that. Like, literally, why would she post a picture of her and Cherry at Model UN? Literally. This girl is dumb for the plot, sometimes. Like, why? Why would she post a picture of her and Cherry and tweet it and post it on Chirper, knowing that anyone should see it or retweet it to Alison? Phoebe is so dumb for the plot. She is so dumb for the plot. Anyway, dumb from the plot, Phoebe said. For the plot, Phoebe said. Yeah, Alison says, Max says, Phoebe's at Model UN. Nerd! And Alison says she's supposed to be at Model UN. And Max says, nerd! Phoebe said it was tomorrow. She tricked her. Max says, no, she tricked them both. And they have to get revenge. Alison says, yes, revenge. The polar bears will not be silent. Max says, whoa, Alison has access to talking polar bears, because they can use them for the revenge. Then she looks at him and Max says, you're looking at me like you don't have talking polar bears. Then she shakes her head. Meanwhile, at Hinville High, at Model UN, Phoebe says, once Oyster is finished cherry sandwich, everyone will sign the peace treaty. Then Alison says, no, on Greenland, watch. And Phoebe says, Alison? And Alison says, that's right. And look who her vice president is. Then Max says, Max says, hello, International House of Nerds. I love Max sometimes. But Alison says, nations of the world, Greenland is melting, and it's all our fault, your fault. There will be no peace until Russia stops oiling, Norway stops coaling, and Scotland stops making that face. Then we see Gideon being his pervert self again. We see Gideon being a pervert once again. Oh, Gideon. Pervert bro. Gideon is a pervert bro. Phoebe says, but then Phoebe says Phoebe can keep making her face. Phoebe tells Max to stop, to not ruin this. If she doesn't make peace, she has to go to night school. And Max says, well, she'll fit in with the creepers and weirdos. Max says, and then the pet grooming guy comes in saying, is this his pet grooming class? And Mrs. Austin says, night school is next week. And he's next week. And he said, I knew it was next week, and leaves. So Max says, I wonder if that pet grooming guy will take Phoebe to night school prom. So Phoebe says, Alison, she has to sign the treaty. And Alison says, she didn't come here to sign it. She came here to tear it up. And crumples it up. She says, luckily she has a printing press. Alison says, that treaty is signed in the tears of polar bears. Give up their polluting ways, or no peace, no way. Polar bears will make you pay. Sherry says, does Phoebe want her to take Alison outside and talk turkey? Phoebe says, thanks, but she doesn't think Cherry will have to. Alison made one mistake, making Max her VP. So they just have to wait until Max does something dumb. And of course, Max immediately is doing something dumb. But again, I kind of feel bad for Max and Alison in this episode. It's another episode where they kind of make you root against Phoebe. Where Phoebe, you first root for Phoebe in what she's doing, but then you kind of root against her. Weird they do these type of episodes. It's still weird they do these type of, oh hey, you have to root with Phoebe, but now you have to root against Phoebe. Phoebe starts recording and Max says, Oyster, Norway stole his doll. Cool. Not cool, Wolfgang. And Wolfgang says, Vises dolls in and my bustin' steals in? And Phoebe says, Wolfgang didn't steal that doll. Max set him up. And since this is the last time we'll ever see Kelsey on the show, don't even know. I think she last appeared in Nothing to Lose Sleepover. And she says, crikey. And Wolfgang says, Maxon, Stabbins, and Baxon, Minesen, Maxon, Stabbins, and Misen, Baxon. Alison says, why would he do that? And Max says, they talked about getting revenge. And Alison says, they said nothing about sabotage. And Phoebe says, doesn't mean what you said is what you did. And Miss Alison says, Phoebe's right, Miss Alison says, Phoebe's right, Greenland. Monterey does not tolerate international backs in, stabs in. You're out. And and Alison says, thanks a lot, Max. And again, this is where I feel bad for Alison and Max. Because Phoebe, instead of feeling bad for what she did, just said, who's ready to celebrate with world peace cake? Yep, she goes back to be, she is happy. Yeah, I would feel bad for them. But not Phoebe. They want to make her the unlikable person she is in this episode. And it's weird. And Max is later. Blobbin says, how could you launch Chloe into space? Colosso says, oh no, look like someone needs to babysit the babysitter. Nora says, look for anything that will shoot Blobbin into space to save Chloe. Billy says he found fireworks. Blobbin says he found stray cheese. And Nora says, bring it all, and grab crackers. Colosso tells Chloe she can come out now. And Chloe says, did she win? And Colosso says, not until she hears fire engines. Meanwhile, in the A plot, which was kind of funny. But also, I like the original. But anyway, it's just fun. It's just fun. I think Nora originally saying shoot Blobbin before she said shoot Blobbin into space. But anyway, meanwhile on the A plot, a Himbo High. Max says, Alison, wait. Can't she just walk? She can't just walk out on her vice president. Alison says, of course she can. He abused her trust, so she can abuse him. Max says, hey, it's just some dumb assignment. And Alison says, oh, Max sounds just like her parents. Why are you trying to save the world, Alison? When are you going to grow your face, Alison? And Max says, her parents say that she's going through a phase. Alison says, yeah. Max says, it's not a phase, is it? Well, Phoebe is hearing all this. Yeah, Phoebe hears all this. She decides to bring her piece cake out to Alison and Max for some odd reason. Like yeah, for some reason. And Alison says, yeah, so. And Max says, it's not a phase, is it? And Alison says, it's not. The real world needs all the help it can get, especially with all you Thundermans running around. Max says, what is that supposed to mean? And Alison says, it means Max and Phoebe make her sick. They're both selfish, and they don't care about what they do or who they hurt, as long as they get what they want. That's kind of true. More with Phoebe now, but not Max, because I love him. But technically, both of them are equally selfish. I kind of agree with her on that. More Phoebe in this episode. Phoebe is extra selfish in this episode. Yeah, Max says, okay. He guesses he can see where she's coming from. It's kind of his fault. And Alison says, what is he saying? Is he sorry? And Max says, yeah. And for the record, that's not something he usually says. Alison says, yeah. Technically, he still hasn't said it. And Max says he's sorry. Alison says, it's kind of too late. She already kicked out Model UN. Max says, they can't give up. Let's go back in there and talk to Mrs. Austin and stop the tree the right way. Alison says, why does he care all of a sudden? And Max says, he cares because he knows what it's like to be told you're going through a phase. His parents tell him the exact same thing. Austin says that they tell him that he's going through a cool hair phase. Cool hair phase. An awesome hair phase, and Max says something like that. So she says, what's this? Meanwhile, Phoebe, after hearing this, she decides to leave that cake just out for them. But again, how would they notice that cake being there? We never get notice about that. So once they go back in there, and Alison says, let's do it. And Max says, wait. So she's digging in the hair, and Alison says, don't get cocky. Meanwhile, in the B plot, which is the style of this video, Blobbin says, Nora presses the button to blast Blobbin off. That's when Chloe shows up, teleporting in, saying, hey guys, what's going on? And Billy says, Chloe, we're coming to rescue you. Wait, Chloe? And Chloe says, and Blobbin blasts off. And Chloe says, yay, cousin Blobbin! And then he basically, Barb says, what's going on here? And Blobbin is literally falling all over, because of the spray cheese and the vacuum. He's literally falling, the rockets are making him fall over, basically fall on the floor and rocket all over the place. Colosso says, that's exactly what happens when you leave your kids with a nincompoop. Hank says, he'd take a nincompoop over a villain, especially an indestructible one, and Blobbin can babysit the kids whenever they want. Colosso says, here comes the fire engines, and Chloe says, yay, I win. Meanwhile, and that's the end of the B plot. We never find out how Blobbin recovered, We never find out if they find out what Colosso did with Chloe. We never find out. That's just it. End of the A plot. The rest of the episode is B plot. Is the end of the B plot. The rest of the episode is A plot material. Meanwhile, in the A plot at Havenville High, Kelsey said Australia is dope to be the last. I don't know if she actually said that, but that's what it said. To be the last country to sign this ripper of a treaty and become peace and to bring peace, mates. Phoebe says, Kelsey, stop. And Kelsey says, no treaty will be signed. Mrs. Dawson says, what is Phoebe doing? She was about to pass. Phoebe says she didn't deserve to pass. Nations of the world, the treaty is based on lies. She told Alison the modern UN was canceled because she cared more about her grade than doing the right thing. Argentina stands with Greenland in their mission to save the polar bear. Then Wolfgang attacks Phoebe because she broke her cake promise. And also Phoebe says she threw away the cake, but she didn't. She left it on a ledge. Very, very strange. This episode's very weird with its random errors. Then, yeah. So Alison says no one hurts a polar bear ally, and throws a stuffed polar bear at Wolfgang. Then big countries get into a fight. Max says, look, total chaos, and he didn't have to lift a finger. Alison says, thanks, Phoebe, for standing up for her. Phoebe says it was wrong for her to silence, and super wrong of her to send her on a date with Max. Max says he sees why he's standing right here. Phoebe says, yeah. Phoebe gives Alison the treat, and they tear it up. Then Alison says victory feels so good. Then Alison gets hit by a flying shark, which is an obvious reference to the Sharknado franchise, and Alison and Max's actors, Ryan Newman and Jack Griffo, were in Sharknado 3. So obviously, they knew they had to make a reference to that movie, which the two actors starred in. And since they're kind of building up a Max and Alison love story, and knowing that the actors of Max and Alison were dated in real life is kind of interesting. They dated in real life, they broke up, and I think that's why Alison ultimately left the show. They broke up with Max off screen in season 4 because their actors broke up in real life. Yeah. The worst part of a show when your actor doesn't want to appear on the show, so you have to come up with a convenient way to break them up, is have the character text break up with Max in season 4 instead of having her actually appear to do it herself. I'm just thinking that the real actress breaking up on the show, in real life, was the main reason why Alison just randomly disappears after season 4, episode 2. She just randomly disappears, and then in 21 Dump Street, she just breaks up with Max off screen without anything. We'll get to those episodes, but I'm just saying that the actors stayed in real life. They broke up in real life, so I think that's what led to Max and Alison's breakup on the show in season 4. I don't know, I'm just saying. But back to the episode. That was a weird thing about the Sharknado. There's a Sharknado reference. Alison says, a flying shark, it's on, and starts attack. Then Sherry says, it's what's going on, Mother Russia, which is a good way of covering up a swear word. And then Russia says, what'd she say about his mom? And then, yeah. Max says he thinks kind of likes Alison. Phoebe says her too. And Phoebe says Alison deserves a victory. Then Canada hits Phoebe with milk. Which, as a Canadian myself, I feel very offended by that. And Max says he has a date to finish, and he throws a polar bear at Russia and says, Viva la Greenland, to end the episode. So, that was date exceptions, and it also starts the romance between Max and Alison. They wouldn't actually get together until literally the next episode. Next episode, Alison shows up, and she and Max actually become an actual couple. But aside from that, that joke with Canada dumping milk on Phoebe, I felt offended by that, writer, because as a Canadian myself, we drink milk, okay? I don't get why they had to make a joke like that. But anyway, yeah. And also, the shark, I think I've seen the first 3 Sharknado movies. I don't remember. I'll have to watch it again. But yeah. I'm just saying. They made 6... Jack Ripper and Ryan Newman were in the 3rd out of the 6 films. Oh. Right. But anyway, yeah. Also, the B-plot's ending just felt a bit rushed. Like, we never find out what happens to Blobbin. How did they stop the rockets? Did Colosso ever get exposed for hiding Chloe from Blobbin, Nora, and Billy just to prove a point that Blobbin was a terrible babysitter? We never find out. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for the Game Night episode, Season 3, Episode 13, Game Night, which has Phoebe has Phoebe and Chloe teaming up together. Colosso turns human. Nora learns how to speak better French, and a dream sequence with a gorilla. But anyway, that's it for this episode, and I'll see you next time for He Got Game Night, the 13th, or technically 15th episode in production order, but the 13th episode aired. See you next time.